told you, cutter.
People seen it, but they just don't know. People seen it, but they just don't know.
Huh?
People,
Let's go.
people seen it, but they just don't know. People seen it, but they.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon E, and we here on 9910 Sports TV once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity and to be able to come on this great platform to be able to do great things. And so the morning, I'm pleased to be able to have one of our first guests that we've had on several weeks, ex-football player. Well, I'm gonna let him kind of introduce himself, so because I don't want to mess up the story too much. You know, a lot of times people come on these platforms and they think they know everything, and then they mess the first story up. So I'm gonna let him kind of introduce himself or whatever on this platform. I will say is it Akeel Lendor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so former football player Akeel Lendor is on the show this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So how you doing today, big dog?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thank you for having me here, though. Brief history. Played in the Canadian Football League here. Played in the U.S. Played arena football there. Went to a number of NFL camps in my time. Played between 2012 to 2016. 4 years of pro football. So, yep. Also a rapper as well. Just released the EP called The Requiem. Go check it out. It's on Bandcamp.
Okay. So where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm from the Caribbean itself, right? My history when it came to sports, I grew up playing basketball and martial arts. Gotcha. And then I got offered a scholarship to play college basketball in a Division II school in the U.S., but that fell through. And then I had a coach who basically pointed me in the direction of football. Because back in our country, we had like a flag football league at that point in time, which I was part of. And the coach and a cousin of mine that got me encouraged and basically, starting to do the assessment for football, the strength, the speed and all that stuff. And before you know it, I got an agent. Shout out to Keith Washington. His son is a quarterback for the Saints. He got a hold of my profile because I was trying to get into universities first, other universities, and he got me on the professional team, Toronto Argonauts, and the rest is history.
Okay. So when you how old were you when you first got from Trinidad to America? How old were you?
Well, I've been always traveling before I actually moved permanently to play football, but my first football deal I got signed when I was 28. 28. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you were in Trinidad and then you came over to America after you got your first deal.
Yeah, I came over to Canada. So what happened was I got some offers from like JUCOs, Division 1, 2, Division 2 schools. And then in that period of me making the transition, the CFL, the CFL team, Toronto Argonauts, decided to take me pronto. They didn't want me to wait. They were going to try to develop me first. So I went straight to the pros without even having one down in college.
Okay, so how was that transition as far as going from Trinidad to going to Canada? What was the transition like?
I'll tell you this. It was two things. It was a culture shock, and it also was a size shock for me because I'm 6'8", 325. So for me, among my peers back home, I'm huge. When you walk onto a gridiron for the first time and you see guys your height, your size, your strength, then you realize how hard it is to really compete. So it was a hell of an experience for me. Trust me, it was. It was a real culture shock.
Okay, so was a language barrier thing too there?
No, we speak English and everything. The language barrier wasn't that bad. What for me was the challenge for me was the football ebonics and the lingo. So plays have different codes, different things to recognize certain sets, bunches, protections, and all that stuff. So that was a challenge for me when I first got signed. So, and then the playbook was like this thick. I still have my playbook, so yeah.
Got you. So basically, over in CFL football, what's the pay scale like? What's compared to what you see like in the NFL?
All right, brother. I think a water boy gets paid more than a CFL player to a certain extent, bro. My first year contract was $50,000.
Okay.
And out of that, a lot of people don't realize that Canada has the highest, well, it could be one of the third countries that has the highest taxing per capita. So you get taxed in different brackets. So the more you get paid is the more they take from you. So for me, I thought when I got signed for $50,000, I was like, yes, jackpot, make some bread, whatever. When I saw how they garnished my pay, and then they put me on the practice roster. So practice roster at a point in time, they were only giving you a stipend of $500 a week. Okay. Back then, the highest paid player was a guy called Ricky Ray, a quarterback who was on our team. Ricky Ray, he was making like, I won't cap, he probably was making like $200,000 a year. So the ceiling for the CFL when it comes to salary ranges between 50,000, but now it's gotten a little better now. 50,000 to like about 300,000 if you're the highest player on your team, the highest paid player. That's it. As far as I know, when I played, most of the guys on my team had second jobs. So we would have practice in the morning, 9 in the morning, installs, then we go to the field. And I know by the time practice will finish like about 12, I know I saw dudes we were going to lockers, and I saw dudes changing into suits, going to sell insurance, going to be personal trainers, going to be salesmen. That's how it is in the CFL. You can't. It's not one of those sustainable sports type of things like how in the US or in the NFL where you could just a rookie. My experience with the NFL, which is another topic. When I went to Buffalo and my agent, we went there and we sat there. We were talking to player personnel and everything. I was shocked that a 2-week contract was more than a CFL player made in a year, if that makes any sense. If you're a camp body, so in Buffalo, they wanted me to come in as basically like a camp body, right? So what they do, they sign players to get like extra reps for the other starters, right? Which is a good experience for you. And if you do well, you move up. I was offered, I won't lie, I was offered probably about 80,000 for 2 weeks. That's more money I probably would have made in the CFL in my first year. That's how it is. That's the price and the paying ratio. It's not much. And then compound that with a tax, it's even worse. You're not going to make money.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you 2 questions before I pass it on to my brother. Good morning, Jacob.
Morning, bro.
Morning, guys.
Yeah, before I pass it on to Jacob, 2 questions. One, in Trinidad, were you coming from a poverty situation, or what was your situation there where you went from that to Canada? And also, what was like, okay, did you have an apartment in Canada? Just to kind of give people perspective on it.
Okay.
What was
so
1-bedroom apartment? What would be the price on a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment in Canada?
And I grew up a middle class kid in Trinidad, right? So I didn't have to worry about finances. I wasn't born in poverty. So I'm not going to sit here and cap about that. I was never born in poverty. My life was good. I was able to travel. I had a job. My mom is a teacher, so I came from good beginnings, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, moving to Canada now, it's much more expensive. So when I moved to Canada, I had to roommate with one of the coaches, right? So he had an apartment and I got a room, and I was kind of like, I was working as a bouncer and going to football practice. And the coach himself too was doing the same thing that I was doing. So, fun fact: most of the coaches you see in the CFL on the sideline don't get paid because. Yeah, let me explain. Let me explain.
Hold on, before you finish, we're gonna take a quick break. And we out crazy. Okay, Hell 910 Sports. Okay, we here with Akeel, a former CFL and AFL football player. Okay,
right.
Brother.
Jacob. So, fun fact.
Hey.
Oh, my bad. Fun fact.
No, you good. You good. I'm just laughing, man. You good.
Yeah.
You good.
So most of the CFL players, most of the CFL coaches you see, not all get paid. For one reason. Some of the coaches are there on internships, right? So the coach that I had at that point in time I was roommating with, I didn't even know this until I moved out of his apartment. So he's trying to get onto the team to be, positions coach or whatever. So some of these coaches don't get paid for the first year. If you're a local Canadian, they don't get paid. He wasn't getting paid. To my knowledge, he wasn't getting paid, right? So him and I had to literally work as bouncers in the night. And then I would get up early in the morning to go to practice and meetings. Let that sink in. You're in a titty bar until 4 in the morning. Installs at 9 in the morning. You have to drive. Where we stayed was in Burlington, which was to Mississauga, which is probably 15 minutes. And you get up, you're tired, you go, and then I had to go knock heads with huge ass American guys like y'all and Canadians, and I have to repeat that process because what they were paying me at that point in time as a reserve player was $500 a week. Let that sink in. $500 a week, and then you have that, and then you have to eat. You have to pay rent. You have to take care of yourself. So
now, how much was rent a month?
Right. So me renting a room from the coach wasn't no big thing. So probably I was paying him one of my checks a week, one of my checks per month, like $500, whatever it is, right? But the average rent here, if you're a CFL player, you have to roommate with someone to save your money. Because if you rent here, and this was 2012, 2013, rent back then could have been $1,400, $1,300, $1,800 according to where you rent, what you rent, and who you rent from. Right? So if you're let's say I had some homeboys who one of them is a coach now in Winnipeg, him and 4 other dudes will rent a house. Because they were on the starting roster. So their money would be a lot more different than mine. So they probably get paid $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, whatever it is, however their pay structure is, and they could afford it. But if you really wanted to offset your expenses, the smartest thing to do was to roommate together. That's how you save your money.
Yeah.
Because the taxation in Canada is unreal. Unreal, brother. Unreal. That's why most basketball players from the NBA, when they come here, they don't stay long.
Got you.
I had a conversation with JJ. I don't know if you remember JJ. He played for the Raptors. He played for Miami and for the Raptors. Tall dude. He did martial arts. I forgot his name. And we were talking about how a lot of NBA players don't stay because Canada, when you come here as an NBA player, bro, the taxes are unreal. There's a bracket system here. So if you're making above 100,000, you're getting taxed almost half your check. So most Americans don't want to come here. They don't.
Wow.
They don't see their money. And I don't blame them, bro. Kawhi, that's why Kawhi got up and left because I won a championship, but guess what though? I ain't getting my money though.
But see, Kawhi he went to a just as bad state. California is almost the same.
Yeah, but it's okay. All right, let me put it this way, right? California is expensive, but you still get it. You still can make that money back probably in
endorsements.
Right. In Canada, they tax you on everything across the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're not gonna if I brought you here, brother, and I said, okay, I'm giving you $1.5 million. Oh, this is what it is. And then when you start breaking down, you start realizing, wait a minute, I'm supposed to get $100,000 check every week, but then you're seeing 50,000 or 50 something and change, and you're asking yourself, what's going on? Yeah, you're getting taxed in the bracket of the rich people. So your money is going to get cut in half.
That's crazy.
So that's why if you look at a lot of contracts that come from the US, a lot of players that come here, their bonuses are inflated. Because that's to get their money back on the back end.
Yeah.
Right? So when you come here as a most Americans, when they come here, all those guys, Van Vliet, DeRozan, yeah, they stayed here for a certain amount of years to build up their NBA reputation. But if you ask them about the taxation, it's unreal. It's hard to attract people here to play sports. Really, really hard.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So with that being said, man, your NFL experience,
all right,
and just seeing how guys live in the NFL, and then you go back to Canada. Did that just really make you want to get up and move to the NFL and try to do something with football?
So my agent, the original plan was to go to the US first. I was supposed to go to a JUCO, then a Division I college at my age, and then try to get into the NFL. So if I have no regrets in my career, but I'll be honest with you though, if I could do anything differently, I wouldn't have come here. I would have gone straight and lived in Florida and stayed there for years and then go into the NFL. But so one of my best friends who from the NFL is a guy called Carl Johnson. He blocked for Tim Tebow. He went to Florida Gators. He was kind of like one of those really inspirational dudes who taught me a lot about football. And another guy who went to Memphis, Tennessee State, his name is Deirdre Tucker. We're still friends up to this. All of us are still cool. I'll be honest with you, bro. An NFL rookie lives way better than us here in the CFL, bro. Like an NFL rookie's starting pay is $300,000, bro. That's a cap salary here in the CFL. So a rookie at 22 years old, Division I, gets $300,000 probably a week or broken down by weekly, whatever it is, how they decide to structure his pay. And I saw dudes when I went to NFL regional camps, and I saw some of like these top. I went to camps with some of like the top draft picks who are now in the league or wherever it is, and those boys were living lavish, bro. Even before they even could have like touched the field. So I would say, yeah, the living and the way the life and the professionalism, and that's another thing too. The professionalism in the CFL to the NFL is like grassroots, and so my shock was when I first moved to the CFL, things like physiotherapy, strength and conditioning, all those stuff in the CFL was still in the high school stage. Like dudes were still using the physio sticks. We just started using the physio sticks, ice baths, and all that stuff. But then when you go to an NFL compound, it's like shit. It's like you walked into the future, state of the art, everything. When I did my physical assessment, I'm in a room testing for body weight, percentage, diet, my kinesiology, my injuries. Bro, I didn't understand how they basically treated you like something off of the assembly line in the NFL. You have other niggas, and you just there. Raise your arm, raise it this, raise it that. Check to see any bruises if you have. And then if they found out that you had like, I didn't even know this. So when I first got signed, peak health, never broken a bone, never torn a ligament, never had an injury, never had a concussion. And I'm in the line with all these other top players who have a lot more accolades than I am. And I'm seeing these dudes with this assessment things. And when we all strip down to our underwear, scars. operational scars. And I didn't know the way how they looked at us is that the more injuries you have, your pay is not going to reflect your premium player. The NFL pays for what they see, not what they think you're going to be, if that makes any sense. It's that they look at your longevity. They look at the potential. How are we going to get out of you? How much are we going to get out of you? So the more injuries you have less negotiating power. Way less.
And so real quick before, I'm going to take a quick break and right back. I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Okay, we back here on 910 Sports. So is that reason why, in your opinion, would that be reason why running backs probably get maybe the hard time because they probably touch the ball probably more than anybody else on the field other than the quarterback? You know,
I think skill position players like wide receivers and running backs. I think because of the high mileage and that mileage of that situation, right? So they get more hits, they take more risk. You know what I mean? A running back gets hits at least 6 to 10 times on every play. If you look at it, look at Saquon Barkley. You see how much hits he gets, and he's like a toe running back. He's an every down running back. So the more work they use those guys for, the more injuries they're more prone to. And if they're not healthy and their contracts are up and they go back on the market, they may not be assessed the same after that, according to what the injuries are. So it's different. You have to remember, bro, an offensive lineman is in a battle in one plane. He's fighting another big guy. We're gonna run protect, we're gonna pass protect. Yeah, we might have injuries. I do might shove you in your face, or you might on a run block, you might get rolled up, whatever. The chances of that happening is very slim compared to a running back or a wide receiver. When a wide receiver goes across the middle and he gets a blindside hit, boom, and his brain gets shook, and that concussion protocol steps into place, and that guy comes with that light and flashes in your eye and realize one pupil still is the same and the other one is active. That's a concussion. And they start taking those records down, put you through concussion test.
And it's funny you say about concussions because I told my partner Akeel this. I said, man, I really think why Junior say I killed himself, bro, because he couldn't think no more. You know what I mean? He couldn't think no more, man. Because I remember, LaDainian Thompson said, man, yeah, man, it was bad. It was bad. I know him for years. We were very good friends. My kids been around his kids, but him not remembering and his wife calling his name and he just in like a blank stare. You know what I mean? And so I think a whole lot of players had concussions back in those days when the concussion protocol was. Hell, I think Walter Payton had a concussion. Earl Campbell, Tony Dorsett. You know what I mean? All those guys that used to take those hits. And back when ALT them played and Derrick Thomas them played, there was no protection. It was a real gladiator sport. You know what I mean?
It still is, but the thing, okay, so when I played, I'll be honest with you, bro, like when I played, dudes were still getting concussed. The difference is that they never reported certain things. Now, you have to understand there's another dirty side of football that people don't know.
Right, of course.
My first year, I was shocked. When I moved to Florida and I played for Tampa Bay Storm, and I remember sitting down and talking with guys who went to school, who went to top leagues, top professional programs in college and stuff. They were dudes who literally had 3 to 4 concussions that was not reported because of their draft stock. You know what I'm saying? So in college, they had about 8. And they won't say anything because they were projected to go 3rd and 4th round. The rage I saw in football players when I first started playing, like rage, like when dudes get mad, it's not the normal rage, bro. Like I remember I saw a fight one time where a dude when I played, I think either it was a Nashville Venom or some of those teams. I will never forget that he got cut. He got cut from the Saints and he came to play with us. And he got so mad, bro, that he literally took the helmet and hit himself.
Mm.
That's not normal rational, bro. That's not a normal rational, bro.
Well, let me ask you this. Real quick, Jacob. Let me ask you this, because you know I've been talking to you about this, Jacob, for a minute. So
Right.
Aaron Hernandez got a biopic on FX. I don't know if you've been watching it, but they were saying that when Aaron Hernandez, when he died and they did a CTE check on his brain, they said they had the worst they've ever seen. So do you feel like, okay, part of him basically crashing the way he did, do you feel like that CTE contributed? Because the way they were saying it on the show, like it might have even started like in high school with his concussions.
Yeah, because
by the time he got to where he got to, that all this rage and things he was doing was because of maybe it could have been because of that CTE.
So what a lot of people don't understand, right? And for me, as I started getting more and more involved in football, what I started understanding is that most of these guys played at Pop Warner level, right? So when you play at Pop Warner level, and I've seen Pop Warner games with some coaches before they came out with the whole let's reinvent tackling and all these different things. Some of these young kids used to go head first into their opponents. So I believe over aggregate of time, I think a lot of football players between Pop Warner, high school, college, by the time they reach college, their brain is like a club that got shot up. So they're always in a traumatic mode, and concussions, unfortunately, could affect you in two different ways. I've seen guys get memory loss on the sideline. There's one guy asked me one time when he got hit, "Where am I?" I will never forget that. And then there's some dudes, it puts them in an absolute fit of rage. Like I'm telling you, bro, like seeing a dude take a helmet and crash out.
Yeah.
That is not a rational rage. Come on, like when you see a dude can boop, I don't give a fuck. Well, fuck y'all then. That's not a normal rage, bro.
Yeah.
I can say this right here, though. I can say this, Lendor. I can say that I've been around football for a long time. I currently, do recruiting for a junior college, and I remember me at one of the games last year, and I told Coach Kincaid, the director, right? I said this guy is stronger than an oak tree, and the way his eyes look, he looked like he's doing something. And he's like, "Well, he like, what you mean?" I was like, "There's a thing. If you go to a personal trainer that makes money, and you tell him that you want to be this awesome athlete, there's a thing that they call juicing. And when these guys start juicing, it's something different. Icon, they be stronger than Moses, John the Baptist, and the Credible Hulk. For real, bro."
So I have a nephew who just got. I have a nephew who's an O lineman. He just got picked for a university. He's a starting left tackle, right tackle for a university here. And I'm telling you, fellas, they're high school kids on juice. When you look at their skin and their face, that herpy looking breakouts on their skin, and their bone structure and their voice and their rage, they're high school kids. That juice has always been there. Even in the pro leagues, it has been there. Bro, I know dudes who walked on the field, bro, and they had 4 and 5 necks. And you're looking at them like, no fucking way. But again, if a team wants to win, they will look over these things. My very first year in the CFL, I came here, I was at 345. I was originally a nose tackle, and then they made me into an O-lineman. So which I wanted to do. I wanted to be an O-lineman because that's what I thought was best for me, whatever. And then because of how the CFL is designed, it's a much more faster league. It's not compact like the US. So they made me cut weight, brought me down to 305, and then stacked me back up to 315 because they want to be, because left tackles and linemen back then was the demand, right? The year of the left tackle, Eric Fisher, and all these top old linemen back then were drafted high. So, and I'm telling you, bro, there was a guy when the camp with, a Canadian who played in the U.S. I won't call his name, but I'll never forget this, bro. He lasted one game. One game. He went to the University of Texas. I think you call it UTEP or University of El Paso, whatever it is. And yeah, and I'll never forget this. We both went to camp, and there was something called beer antler. I don't deer antler. It's a spray.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those guys, him especially, would get up every morning, hit that 4 times before we go on the field. And he would be a battering ram for the whole entire practice. Anything that he's hitting it. Come to find out that year when I met him in camp, he just got drafted. He got a whole heap, considered a whole heap of money in the CFL. And he went to one game of that year and never touched the field again. Why? Because, again, concussions. And you can actually go and read his article, concussions. He kept hitting. And then what I was taught to, fortunately, I had a really good online coach called Stephen McAdoo, really good coach. He taught me how to block properly. That's another thing a lot of people don't discuss. It's
hold that thought. We're gonna take
okay.
Okay, we back here on 910 Sports. We're here with Akeel, Lendor, former AFL football player.
Yeah. So on the position of how a lot of these guys get, concussions, the technique of the O-lineman has still been innovated at a point in time. And I was fortunate to have a good coach called Stephen McAdoo who taught me how to block properly. So what you saw in what you really saw in practice is that when certain dudes came to practice, their blocking techniques were bad, horrible. I'm talking about grown men blocking inside zone runs, head on, bad technique. Their heads and necks getting compressed from force. So the online technique of run blocking and pass protection was still being developed back then. So you would have dudes, O-linemen will block, and they'll block with their heads in the block on pass protection. Like they'll pass pro, and the first thing they will do is do this. And so I had an O-line coach who taught me, hey, you don't do that. You use your hands, your feet, whatever. So when I started playing, that's when they started reinventing certain things when it came to football and technique and the technology and stuff like that. But yeah, man, concussions is no joke.
Concussions, yeah, man, and so even now, from the juicing to the spray to the gummy, or even now to what we think look like beef jerky, but it's really not beef jerky. You know what I mean?
Bro, I know dudes who are doing crack cocaine, bro. I'm telling you, I know dudes who are doing crack cocaine. I know football play. Listen, I went to a hazing party, and I'm telling you, that was imagine a little Caribbean boy coming from the Caribbean straight to what professional football is, and you're seeing pro football players doing crack cocaine, bro. I'm telling you.
Well, but drug usage has been heavy in every professional sport for decades and decades, man.
Yeah,
and
but
so,
for me it was a culture shock because I'm coming from, you have to be in shape, eat right, stay healthy. And then you're coming to realize a dude next to you, a white boy next to you is doing a bump. And then he's telling you, hey man. I'm like, no.
Yeah, y'all remember the show? Y'all remember the show with Cuban Gooden brothers, Cuban Gooden Jr.'s brother. They was on ESPN, and they did about 4 episodes, and they shut that thing down quick because it was basically he was the running back, and they were showing him like getting high off of crack after the games and whatever, and they were showing that lifestyle of an NFL player, and they shut that show down. ESPN came in and was basically like, if y'all shut this down, we gonna sue y'all,
bro.
and they shut that thing down quick.
There was a guy told me one time, I'm not going to call his name. When I had to cut weight, I couldn't believe he told me this. And that's what made me realize how nasty this business is. He's like, yo, you want to cut weight? Do some powder and just drink water. I was like, what the fuck? Do some powder and drink water. That's what they're doing to make weight. If they want to cut weight, like there's some dudes who don't do preseason, bro, preparation. All they do, and I learned this from a friend of mine who went to Alabama, who played for Nick Saban. They would go on something called water fasts, bro. So they will go after the league is done, eat shit, eat garbage, and then when time to get compete again, they go on something called a water fast. For 2-3 weeks, they're not eating no solids. They're running suicides. They're getting the condition up, and they have like these big gallons of water just drinking that shit. Like, you have to understand, like, a lot of people don't realize that shiny look that football players have on TV is not what it is. Unless you're in the NFL and you're making the money to take care of yourself, it's not what it is. And the thing is, a lot of people look at the after product and they tell themselves, oh, that looks good. No, buddy, some of these dudes got some serious mental issues, bro. They just don't say shit. They just don't say shit. It only comes out in an outburst, a fight. They ain't got their checks. I know dudes back in my day, dudes were sleeping with prostitutes and not paying them. And the prostitutes will call, they will call the team and say, number so-and-so such and such owes me money, and the fucking head coach in the meeting will use that as a joke and expose that and Bo. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't find it hard to believe, man, because prostitution is one of the $1 billion businesses across the world for years. So when you say athletes, because there's no string attached, I ain't got to see you no more, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? Athletes, entertainers. So
I saw a brother up here lose his family because of that, bro. I saw a brother up here.
It's messed up though.
Lose his family because of that, bro. And the messed up part was that. So when you're in that type of status, there was websites dedicated to find dirt on you, and those websites are still up to this day. And I know a lot of dudes, bro. When you read those things, bro, there are women putting up pictures with dudes laying next to them and saying, yeah, such and such is the case. I know a dude lost his whole marriage because of that, bro.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's real crazy.
so
that's crazy.
Football experience for me was kind of like a life experience, bro. Like you had to really choose what type of life you want to live. On the flip side of football experience, you had the guys who were really like straight and narrow. Like they had like church parishes and church congregations within. There was a pastor who used to come by and he would hold church. There was a guy called Dontrell Inman. He played for Chargers and the Redskins, a wide receiver. He played with us in the CFL, and then he went to the NFL. Real cool guy. He was one of those guys who was always on the straight and narrow, praying about. He was about God. He kept his shit right. So you had in that 55-man locker, you had all types of walks of life, and you had the good ones, you had the bad ones, you had the ugly ones. You know what I mean? But I won't exchange it for the world, because the experience taught me that no matter what background you come from, bro, if there's a common goal, dudes will put their shit aside and work together. At the same time, when you start investigating the people that you're working with, you could come up with some scary shit, bro. There's some dudes who have some scary backgrounds, bro.
You're right about that, Lendor, because With me,
Before we're gonna
the
take one.
recruiter for.
Before you
Go
say
ahead.
we take, I'm gonna finish your thought.
Mm.
Okay, we back. We back here
So
on Sport TV. Go ahead, Jay. Finish your thought.
so Lendor, man, I had a young man tell me about 18 years old, right? He came to JUCO. He said Mr. J. I said, man, you love football? He said, I'm good at it. I don't love it.
Mm.
I said, are you passionate about it? He said, I'm passionate about being the best one in my position ever. I said, why you play? He said, man, listen, my lifestyle, being surrounded by my father and my uncles and the type of lifestyle I was surrounded by, if I ain't have football, I'd either be dead or in prison.
Right. So
And yeah, and so your point, what you saying, all walks of life.
yeah, I won't lie though. I don't want to sound pessimistic, bro, but you could end up in a football team where basically it on paper it looks like a penitentiary. If that makes any
Of course.
sense, if you understand that, you know
Oh
what
yeah,
I
I
mean.
understand that.
I know dudes who have some serious charges on them, bro. You know what I mean? And the thing is, for me, it was a bit of a shock for me because again, I said you're an innocent kid. You're in your mind, your perception of what you're trying to do is pure. But then when you get in and you start to understand who you're around, what they do, why they do it, like I mean, bro, you name it, bro. It was a real culture shock for me, and a lot of another thing too is that when Americans come to the CFL, they're not treated the same because of how the rules are designed. So when you're a Canadian player on a roster, you don't count against the roster. But if you're an American player, it does count. And the thing is, when what's considered import, so when you're import, they see you as expendable.
Okay.
So a lot of American players, when they come here, they don't. Two things happens to them is that when they come here, some fall in line, understand the opportunity, and then some, when they come here, they give trouble and they're gone. And a lot of them don't realize that the situation is stacked against them in the CFL because of the fact that there's no moral security for you. Because as a coach put it to me, Americans are a dime a dozen football players. So we're not going to waste time in trying to encourage them to be the best of how their conduct should be. If they show that ugly head where they're not conforming and understanding, chop, send you back out. I can't tell you how many players my first year I got to know, and in less than 2 to 3 weeks they were gone.
Mm.
Not all were for behavioral issues, but because the team was looking for a piece to add to their defense or their offense, whatever it is. So for me, if you go on my YouTube page, or if you go on my YouTube and type my name, you'll see a clip of me of my football film where I'm going against all these linebackers and DNs. They used that to help develop me. So I went against guys who would come up to work out for the teams, and they'll use me as that offensive lineman. And I wouldn't lie to tell you, I was still in that stage, learning the technique, learning the nuances of things, wherever it is. And I remember when these guys come up, I used to eat them alive. And then boom, they're gone the next day. Or they come to practice, they didn't perform too well. Boom, next 2 weeks, they're gone the next day. So the odds for an American in the Canadian League is very much stacked against them because of the fact that of that, that's one notion. You're considered an import. So which means our loyalty lies with the Canadians. If that makes any sense. So they will have much more of a easier time. Well, I won't say easier time, but much more benefit as a Canadian on a roster than an American coming in.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. I wish we had more time. But I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't even ready for these stories. I wasn't ready. I'm like Noriega. We always tell Jinx wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but I appreciate you coming on because this was
I
very.
appreciate it. I appreciate it too. Thanks a
Yep.
lot, guys.
Come back. You know what I mean for a part
My
two.
guy. My guy.
This
No
is
problem, man. Definitely, I will. I will.
Village Global Network. Shout out to CNG, our 200 and some odd countries. Shout out to Zeno FM. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just glad you came on, and we definitely gonna have you back, brother. The stories was crazy bananas, and I know you probably got 100 more of them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I appreciate you coming on, man, and see y'all with on Sports TV.
Take it easy. Peace.
Peace.